All right. Now, I don't know if we have anybody who is there. I think I've got everything set up. I don't see Bart. And so I'm going to assume that we may or may not have Bart on the jam session. We're supposed to have Bart. We're supposed to have everybody. Where is everybody? I don't think this would be a good conversation to do by myself. Okay, I just got a message from Bart, says he's in Google Hangouts hanging out by himself. Hold on a sec. All right, so I'm gonna send him another link to this thing because my bet is that there's been a mix-up with the link, but we'll get it. Sometimes Bart and I exchange so many emails that it's hard to keep track of all the links that we send back and forth for various things, whether it's sort of meeting people or to record a podcast or whatever it might be. Okay, so I'm sending. I actually had sent a couple of links, and so it might have been my fault, but the latest one or the last one was the one that mattered. All right, guys. Well, anyway, welcome to the jam session. I'm John Wright, and I'm the guy that produces Bart's podcast, Humanize Me. And this is the second one. If you're watching this, it means that you're one of our patrons on Patreon. And I'm not alone when I say we really, really appreciate you guys. And, you know, I think Bart made mention of this on last week's episode, or could have been this week's now that I think about it, that if you look at how many podcasts rely on support of Patreon or one thing or another, there are quite a few podcasts on there. The difference with this one is we really couldn't make it happen at all. Like neither Bart nor I can even afford to do it. We don't have the time to do it and can't actually put any resources into it. So for you guys being here, it allows this podcast to even exist. Otherwise, it just simply would not. And so whether you are at the $20 and above level, that we call it the partner level, or with, let's see what Bart's, he says, got it, used it, still alone. Okay. I just sent him a thing that said, So he claims to be in this room with me, but not able to hear me or see me. Technology. And of course, we're doing this live, so it's not like we can cover our tracks like we normally do. I believe I'm on the right. Bart.
I just sent you an invitation to this chat I'm in.
Okay, you're in a different one, though.
I'm in the one you sent me, bro.
This one right here is the one you sent me?
Yeah, I went in that, and then it just said invite someone, so I just invited you. And I just took the link directly from from your email.
I believe you. I believe you. Okay, let me see. God, that's crazy. Okay, let me see what could be going on. Because this is certainly not right. Okay, I'm gonna hang up this one, okay?
Okay.
Bart sounds thrilled that it's working so well. All right, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send him yet another link. And this link will be directly from another one. I'm going to subject title another one to Bart Campolo. All right, we'll try this one. Yeah, you know, it's funny. We spend a lot of time doing various things with the podcast, whether it's having a chat with a guest, or whether it's figuring out, having a little meeting or whatever it is. We try to meet every Friday, actually, and most of the time the technology works really well, but I guess this is. I think the first time we did this, it worked almost flawlessly. The other thing is that you should know about Bart, those of you who don't know him very well, is that he is not good with technology. Wow. He's calling me again on my phone. I don't know what to do about this. Bart?
Yeah.
All right. So I believe, broadcasting right now. Like, I believe there are people listening to me, right?
Why do you believe this?
Because I am looking at my face on the screen and I'm seeing that I'm broadcasting as part of like the YouTube thing. And then whenever I send you the exact link, like you just clicked the link that I just gave you, right?
I did. That's what I'm just invited you to be in on.
Yeah, it's so weird. All right, so here's what I'm going to do now. Okay, I'm gonna send you one more, and this one is this is a different method. And so this one doesn't work, we're in big trouble.
So should I leave this chat? Should I hang up?
Yeah, hang this one up again. Okay. If it doesn't work this time, we're in trouble. But for some reason, I'm feeling good about this one. I don't know why. Thank you guys for sticking in. And by the way, for those of you who can't hang out now or can't complete this or doesn't have time for this shenanigans, we will be publishing the audio of this on Patreon for everybody at the $5 level and above. That's how it works. So we do this one first live for you guys who are in on the thing. And for those of you who are not, please work. We'll get this. We'll do as audio for you. You know, the other thing is, oh, hey.
Is this actually working now?
It's working.
Well, if there was anyone out there that was going to join us in this meeting, they've probably given up on us by now.
It's possible. Yeah, I wonder what happened there. So I sent you the link that they gave me, but evidently something went wrong. How are you tonight?
Well, technically frustrated.
I could tell.
Or frustrated with technology, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, all is well.
All is well. It's late for you.
It is a little late, yeah, but that's all right. I stay up late, and right now Marty's in like an insomnia phase again, which often happens. And so one of the things that you do is to try to get back on track. You stay up really late, and then you set an alarm for early in the morning. You sort of start out by getting like 5 or 6 hours sleep, and then you try to build up. You go to bed a little earlier, but like you wait until you're so exhausted that you can't even stand to stay awake, because And
eventually it'll come around.
Theoretically,
the idea. Yeah.
It's worked before. Like the apartment that we're living in is crazy right now because there's a family that lives upstairs from us that someone must have just taken custody of 2 small children that they didn't have before. And so all day long, the kids are running around and you hear them. And then the adults, they stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning, just walking around in their bedroom. Like, I just don't know, like, how much walking can you do in a bedroom? I don't know. But like I sleep through it all. I could care less, but Marty, it's
Yeah. Well, and it's terrible not to be able to sleep. So are there root causes of insomnia or not really? I mean, there's got to be something, but beyond something you can identify particularly?
I don't know. I mean, it's been going on for 30 years. So,
Just something she has to deal
you
with,
try
unfortunately.
everything. Yeah. You know, so sometimes you have good stretches, and right now we're in a bad. I mean, part of it is it's just stressful. Like we're living in this apartment, waiting for this house, which sort of I trust at some point will be renovated. But sometimes when I go over there, I'm like, this will never be done. You know.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I was over there with a friend today who's in construction, and we walked through it together. And you know, we were watching these guys do stuff, and I was just going like, "This is ridiculous. This is insane." He's like, "Yeah." He said, "Those guys know what they're doing." He said, "The thing you got to remember is that those, you know." He said, "Sometimes I go to a site and I say to these guys like, oh my gosh, that wall is bowing, and you're doing like, how are you doing that?" And they're like, "Ah, that's easy." And they go like, "But the spreadsheet, I have no idea what to do with this. Can you help me?" And he's like, "You know, we all think what we can do is nothing, and what the other person can do is amazing." And he's like, those guys that were working there today, Bart, he said, like, if you put them up in front of 100 people on a stage, they probably wouldn't do that well. Understood. So I'm trying to feel less inadequate than, you know, less inadequate.
Less inadequate.
Yeah.
Did you recover from that flight yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, for me, like one good night's sleep and I'm back in the game.
Back in the game. Cool. Well, yeah, and you do a lot of traveling too. So
here's an interesting thing. You know the email that we sent out today?
Yes.
So I got people replying to that email, and it felt like the replies came directly to me this time in a way that they didn't last time.
Yes. I figured you wanted it that way. But if you don't, I can change it back.
Well, I mean, it was only like 5 or 6 this time. Like, and they were just like, "Hey, you know," like, I mean, they did more than that. But you know, in my old newsletters, I used to send out a real newsletter every month, and you know, and I would get back like 150 letters, and that was just like, it was just too burdensome. So if this turns into that, I won't be able to do it. But for right now, I think most people, it's like the ones I get from Mark Maron. Like, it would never occur to me to write back to him.
No.
Like, I'm like, all right, that's what's on the podcast, and maybe I'll listen to it, or maybe I won't. But like,
and I think that's the way most people see them, and that's why I felt safe enough because you had kind of indicated to me that you would like to see them, or you'd want to see those responses, and so I figured, hey, if it goes directly to you or is forwarded back that way, it's good for now, and we'll see what happens.
Cool. All right, so like, I just got a text from Marty saying, "Do you know what time it is?" And I'm just telling her, I'm doing it from here, because she thought I was going back over to the office.
Oh, I see. I assumed Marty was around you there somewhere, but she's evidently not.
She's in another room. But like, here's a question: like, is there any indication? Are you and I just talking alone, or is there anybody else with us?
So it says right now three watching. So
identify yourselves, you three.
Identify.
Send an like, because they can send an email, right? Where do they send it?
Or have a chat, but I need to get on that. Let me see how I can see that.
I think it's on the side, because I see a group chat on the side that I just pulled up. So I'm just going to say, like, I'm going to add something to it to see if you see it. Okay. Hey, it's Bart.
This is all Google technology that we're using right now.
Do you see that?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
If you go to the side of your screen, there's a place at the top where.
Okay, I do see it. All right, here we go. So I actually have a lot of people. Hello, Bart and John. Where's Bart? And people are talking to each other.
Why can't I see that?
I don't know, and I don't see what you just wrote.
So what are they writing on? Q&A?
No. It's under live chat. Connie says, can you not see our messages?
I can't right now.
And Mike, I do see you as well. John, can you see us in the chat? So, okay, let me send you a link where I think you can maybe see it, okay? I love this.
I wonder if the people can hear me talking even though I can't see their text.
Oh yeah, they can see everything.
Okay, so I apologize to everybody for the fact that I don't know how to use this technology yet.
It's okay.
And I blame
Connie says
John.
you're a baby boomer like her.
Yes, and I blame John, by the way.
Of course. See, that's the other thing. I do believe you when you say you blame me too. Yeah. I believe that 100%.
I'm a very honest and authentic person in these scenarios.
Okay.
So I still can't see what anyone's saying. So you're going to have to be the translator unless you can.
Well, I sent you a link.
Oh, a different link?
Yeah, I sent you a new link that you can open it on the side. You can actually pop it out.
Wait, so I open up a different link. Okay. At the same, like I open up, but how do I do that without coming out of the first link?
Oh, I mean, it'll open on a different tab or page there.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is like a YouTube thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So now I'm with you. So should I get out of the other one? YouTube thing.
No, don't get out of the other one because that'll push you off.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But you can pause that too and not let it play in
the other one.
Echo. No, don't get out of the other one because that'll push you off.
Yeah, the problem is that now I've got double voices.
How do I pause that? Just pause it.
Pause the which one?
Pause YouTube.
Pause this one. Yeah, like that.
There you go.
Okay.
And now it's just the chat.
Okay, so now but I can still but okay, so now I'm here. So I'm going to say something on the chat thing, see if it works.
Okay.
Hi. Can anyone see me? Connie, can you see me? Mike, where are you? See, nobody else is jumping in. Mike says, I work in IT. I am not bothered by technical difficulties. I would think, Mike, that you would be more bothered than the rest of us because all right, there's Mike. I would think Mike would be more bothered because he knows it can be better than this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's very disappointed in us entirely.
All right, so our job today is to review how we're doing on this podcast.
And let's not judge it by tonight's performance.
No, this is a different thing. This is a jam session. We'll create a second meeting where we review jam sessions. But right now, the jam session is about trying to figure out how we're doing on the podcast. Yeah. And so, should we talk episodes or should we talk overall stuff? And I guess what I would say is, I think right now, John, it's you, me, Mike, and Connie. I don't see anyone else with us.
Okay. But remember, the audio of this is going to go to our other folks. So, yeah, we don't want to be too specific to Mike and Connie.
Well, yes, we do, because they're the ones that are in the meeting.
Like right. No, I just mean in terms of like our audience is bigger than just them.
I understand that, but like we're talking about our show with the people that are in the meeting.
Perfect.
Okay, so
I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying you're very cranky tonight, Bart.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
You're up late and cranky.
I'm just saying Mike and Connie are with us. That's who I'm talking to. Everyone else is just overhearing later.
Just listening. Okay.
And the question. And by the way, if you're somebody listening to this later, first of all, I apologize for the first 10 minutes. And second of all, maybe you should start it here. And second of all, if you're with us, you can write in and say what you thought, how you feel about this conversation. But I'd be curious if anyone actually listens to this conversation after the fact.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why interesting. That's why I'm focusing on Mike and Connie. Although I'm looking at the Humanize Me Jam session #2, and at first it said one person was watching. Now it doesn't say anybody's watching.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate that is, because I hear people. I see like Connie just wrote. No, I hear.
Okay. All right. I hear that.
So.
All right. So okay. So do you
want to talk episodes?
I think maybe we should talk episodes, or unless somebody has a general vibe, like Mike or Connie or you have something you're like, in general, this is what's working, or this is what is not working?
All my notes are kind of episode based. So
Okay.
I have a lot of stuff about guests, and I figure we don't even really need to talk too much about the Q&As, because those were you and I talking. And so the guests are the ones that are probably the most worth reviewing.
Unless somebody sort of feels like, hey, when you guys are talking, you need to do this more or do that less. Or
Absolutely. Yeah.
I actually have gotten a number of calls today for people that listened to the one that went up today. Or yesterday. Did it go up yesterday?
Went up yesterday. Yep.
Yeah. The one about spending time alone seems to have struck a nerve with some people.
You know, I loved that conversation, honestly, because I mean, I think both you and I identified with it on at least some level. And so it made it personal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, after I thought about it a lot afterwards, and thought about things I should have said. And so a friend of mine called today who had listened to it, and it was one of those things where I thought like, oh, I should have said this. Oh, we would have done that. Like, there would have been, there's so much to say about that topic, but yeah. So anyway, like, I think the other thing I liked about that podcast was, I think it was under 30 minutes. Was it?
It was about 35, the total thing, and that included the intro. So okay. Yeah, it was about 30 minutes. And I think that's a good length for our Q&As.
Yeah, they shouldn't be long.
No. And when we first conceived of that, we thought about that. Like, we wanted it to be, as opposed to the guest episodes, which usually those episodes I've noticed are a little bit over an hour, including intros, outros, music, everything. Yeah. And and to me, that's a not a bad length for the guest episode. What do you think about that? Do you prefer even shorter for guests too?
Well, yeah, and Mike, I see what you're saying, and I'm glad. It's interesting. Roman always says he likes the Q&As best, and I get a discussion like, I actually like when you just talk by yourself. I like those monologues, and I go like, yeah, they're a lot harder to do. It's so much easier when I'm talking with you. Right. But
now the Q&As are solid, and they're always we've got a great one for the next. Did you get that?
I saw that you sent over the question, which, interestingly enough, somebody asked me today, they were like, do you have those questions in advance? And I'm like, sometimes.
Right. It hasn't been every time.
And I almost feel like we probably ought to preface it by saying like, I've seen this one, or I didn't even know this was coming, because they play differently when you know them.
I think that's true. And, I just had that same thought the other night when we were doing this. I was like, I wonder, should we be consistent on that? I wonder if we should be, I wonder if they should
always either prepared or always not prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. That might be the case. And honestly, the truth is, I should always, if it's a choice between that and one or the other, I should always be prepared.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, okay. just because you get better content that way.
Yeah, and this time I did send to you the question 2 weeks in advance, which I think is a record.
Right, which is good, because when I used to preach sermons, it was the same thing. Like, if I would figure out what I was going to preach about beforehand, then like, you would see stuff throughout the week, and you're like, oh, I could use that, or oh, that's a good story, or like, if you have the framework set, it's a lot easier to just. It's almost like if you drive by a Volkswagen, all of a sudden you see Volkswagens everywhere. If your wife is pregnant, all of a sudden you see pregnant women everywhere. And if you're thinking about a podcast topic, all of a sudden you see that topic everywhere. Hey, so John, this is the thing Connie said. She said, I like hearing the song at the beginning of the podcast. I've been conditioned to it for over a year. Is she saying like, are we not playing the song at the beginning of the podcast anymore?
We are, yeah. Yeah, so I think she's just saying she likes it currently.
Keep it in there. All right.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great song. In fact, at one point must have been on the Humanize Me Facebook group, someone asked what it was, and I told them where it came from and all that. It is a good song.
It is a good song. It is a good song. And it's funny because like I listen to enough podcasts to know that, like, I guess a lot of times people keep the same song, like, forever. Like they don't
Yep.
change that. They don't change that song. And like, I'm like, if we're stuck with the song, I kind of like that song.
Yeah, me too. And I get bummed whenever a podcast does break that and do something different.
Oh, see, I see what you're saying. The teaser is okay, but I miss hearing more of the song. It puts me in a good listening mood. Just
Well,
saying.
what's funny about that, Connie, is in this newer iteration of the podcast, just this last few months, since we kind of did a little bit of a refresh, I include more of the song now than ever before, like probably double or triple. So like at the end, there's that whole, there's a whole like two things of the chorus at the end and all of that. Maybe at one point we can just play it all the way through. It'd be fun.
But maybe she just doesn't like the teaser.
I miss hearing more of the song. Actually, yeah, there's more of the song at the start in addition to the teaser, but maybe she doesn't like the teaser. But
maybe yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe the teaser interrupts it or something.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. So weigh in, Connie. Tell us. Do you hate the teaser? You know. But but beyond that, I sort of go, okay. So the Q&As, we start with the song. Do you do a teaser on the Q&A?
Yes. The teaser for the Q&A is just a part of our discussion that seems especially appropriate or interesting.
See.
Little teaser.
Yeah, hence the name. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay, so there might be a delay in getting our chat messages. I think there probably is a delay, Connie. There's no question, because you probably sent that 5 minutes ago. So the Q&As, like, I think we might be hitting a rhythm on those. And
I think so. I really like them.
Until somebody complains, like basically, until Roman complains. Because he's the hardest guy to please. And so like when he sends me a note after an episode, goes like, that was a really good episode. I'm like, oh, phew. Okay, good. I think we're all right. So that's a good thing. So now let's talk about the interview episodes, because the last interview episodes was the last one Frank?
The last one was Frank Warren and Post Secret.
And before that was Charles
Vogel. Before that was Ramsey and Kate.
And we didn't talk about Ramsey and Kate last time, did we?
Nope. And before that was Glenda Jordan, and we didn't talk about her yet either.
All right. So Mike and Connie, if you have anything to say about any of those episodes, besides I liked it, that would be great. Because like I actually did get a note. Yeah, Connie says, I'm not a fan of teasers. And it's funny because like when I hear them on other people's episodes, I've never been a huge fan of them either. Is there some podcast manual that says that they work well? Or do you just
No.
Because you know who uses them? Krista Tippett on that On Being podcast. And
they're a pretty
just drive me nuts on that. I hate them.
What do they do? Too much talk?
No, it's just out of context. Like, I haven't met this person yet, so why do I care what they're saying?
They're a pretty pro thing to do. In other words, like they'll be doing mostly you'll find them on like the higher end stuff.
Oh, so it's a way of signaling that we have production values?
I guess. If they're not useful for anything else, then that's all they're for.
That's interesting. Okay, so now Mike comes in with an actual. He's like, I had trouble getting into the Post Secret episode and didn't listen to the whole thing. And John, did you listen? You were on that call, right? So you didn't listen to it as a podcast. You listened to it when it was happening.
I listened to it live, and then of course edited it, so listened to it, a lot more after that.
Yeah, so Mike says he seemed like an interesting guy, but I wasn't sure where the conversation was going. And now that's a fair statement, because I didn't know where the conversation was going. You know, like
a lot of the time we don't, right? We get someone interesting in the room and sort of pick their brain on the stuff that matters about what they're doing.
I think sometimes, did you miss the best part of the end? Of course you did, Mike. Of course the best part was the end. It was brilliant. I can't believe that
you killed it at the end.
I killed the last 5 minutes was just unbelievable. I actually do remember that episode ending kind of nicely.
He is such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's super nice. But like the truth of the matter is that I was struggling. You know, if the point of those interviews is to find out from that person something that they're doing in their life that I can use in my relationships or in my world to become more human, to become kinder, to become more connected, whatever. I was like, this is a really interesting project, but I was like, I was trying to figure out like, okay, now what can I use? And I think like towards the end, what I sort of settled on was the only real application for this is that this guy had, both on the site and in his live things, he'd come up with a way to create a safe space, and that many people are searching for a safe place to share. And that, like, the question is like, how do we create safe spaces for other people? And like, I don't know how well I did at that, but I think, Mike, you're dead on. You're like, I was sort of reaching, going like, I'm really interested in this guy's project and where it came from, but I'm not sure
what the application is.
I'm not sure what the application is. But it feels like that's sort of like my shtick is I'm trying to figure out what it is that you can learn from, you know, a shoemaker that you can use in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now that's interesting what Connie says. I love this, the secret one. Bart is not the only human who never heard of Post Secret. I'm new to it. Great idea. And so, like, on some level, and that is one of the cool things that happens on a podcast, is you get introduced to people and work that you would like never otherwise listen to. I was listening to The Moth this weekend in San Francisco while I was driving to this wedding that I was doing, and they had Roseanne Cash telling the story. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, it's Johnny Cash's daughter.
Yeah, so like I've heard of her forever, and just figured that like she was like Frank Sinatra Jr., like a half talented person who's just making it on her family name. And she's talking about these Grammys that she's won and this interesting music that she's done. So anyway, I come home and I pull up Roseanne Cash and I start listening. I'm like, where have you been all my life, Roseanne Cash? Like, she's really interesting and funny, and her songs are really thoughtful. And I was like, okay. And I think like that's what, like, if Connie had that experience, or, you know, where she goes like, I never heard of Post Secret, because like when I looked at Post Secret for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, I will be checking this on the regular. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So that honestly, Mike, that may have been where the conversation was going. That may have been the value of it, was introducing a cool thing that can enhance, you know, that just makes your life a little more interesting if you're into it.
And I suppose there's one lesson that's about kind of I'm hearing myself echoing really bad. Really bad.
I can't hear you echoing at all.
Okay. I'll just muscle through. Like a pro. I think that all the stuff that's under the surface that you don't necessarily get exposed to a lot. That's the value for me, as you know, as opposed to the conversation, which is about that. And so it's one thing to be, like you say, exposed. Oh, Mike hears the echo as well.
Yeah, John, you may have to leave and come back.
Exit.
I know you can't do that because it's your conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I can't do that. Let me see what I can do. 1, 2.
I wonder what would happen if like we were doing, you know, because I was talking with Peter Rollins the other day.
Yeah, how is he?
He's wonderful, and it's funny. I hadn't talked to him probably for a year, and it's always the same for me with Peter. Is like we get on the phone and like within 2 minutes we're off into the conversation, and at one point I was like, I don't do this with everybody, man. Like like just jump right in and like and he's like, I don't do it with anybody. I don't do it with hardly anyone either. He said like the last time we were together, his girlfriend was with us.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, wow. She was like, that was crazy. You guys have so much chemistry. And I tend to think like, oh, Pete's that way with everybody, but I'm only that way with Pete. But like, he was like, no, I'm not that way with everybody. I'm that way with you. And so like, I have this kind of bromance, intellectual bromance with Pete Rollins. But one of the things that he said was, he was like, you should be doing like book studies and things like that. He's like, his Patreon page is paying for his life right now.
Yeah.
But it's because he provides content.
Right.
He provides like, if you get something when you sponsor more than just his podcast, you get this thing. All right, Mike, go read Harry Potter. We'll see you when he gets back. That's kind of cool. And Connie says, being alone was good. I learned to be okay being alone. When I was young and single, I had tons of anxiety about missing out on all the fun. Yeah, because I didn't have someone to do the fun with. Yeah, it's so interesting. That was a word I didn't use during that conversation. We didn't use it was FOMO, but that fear of missing out thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's another one of the reasons why people sometimes they feel like when they're alone, there must be something better going on out there in the world.
Right. Absolutely.
And it ain't true.
Not always.
Oh my God. The teacher I talked to today, he had heard that podcast, and he said that when he heard the part about talking out loud to yourself, he had seen a study that like they put people in a tank with snakes, like like on those Fear Factor shows, and their heart rates would go up. They were benign snakes, but it's creepy. And he said that when they trained people to sort of talk, the person like and sometimes to talk about themselves, and they're like, all right, I'm Bart Campolo, and Bart Campolo is not happy right now. Bart Campolo is freaking out because of these snakes. And he said when they would start talking out loud, their heart rates went right down.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's value in it apparently.
yeah.
I had never thought about the value of doing that before you mentioned it. I know I sometimes did. I always thought it was a sign of craziness.
Yeah, you're going no, and it turns out it's a real thing.
That's good.
So anyway, and Connie likes Roseanne Cash too, which makes me happy. But and maybe we'll have to have her on the podcast.
Roseanne Cash?
Yeah, I'm joking. I don't think Roseanne Cash is probably coming on this podcast. We're a little esoteric for her, maybe.
Maybe.
We should. I should get a musician on here though.
No, that would be great. If we can do a live performance, that would be awesome too. People with like an acoustic set.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fun to have some music?
That would be interesting, and then to talk to the person about making music and see if there's anything about the process of making music that, that would be really fun. And
we know people who would.
I do. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, I know a handful of people. I don't know, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it might be a little too, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking out loud. Like I'm thinking like Roman's girlfriend's like this amazing songwriter, but I don't know if she would feel comfortable. Like it might be a little too close to home. But yeah, no, that's okay. So that's when we should add to the list of things that we're going to do is we should do a music one, live music one.
Are you writing it down or me?
I'm writing it down.
Okay.
Yeah. So live music one. That's a good thought. Okay. So we were talking about Frank, and then yes, that's what we were talking about. And then we got on to after what Connie said about.
Do you want to Do you want to talk about Charles Vogel, which was the one right before?
Yeah, okay, and that's why I'm glad this is insider knowledge, because I can't say this outside of the people that love our show. But that interview was weird for me, man. And I got a couple of calls from people that were like, did not like that guy. And they didn't like him not because they didn't think he had good things to say about community building, but there was a segment in that interview where he talks about learning not to care what other people think. And my friend was like, that was bullshit. Like he's saying, yeah, like I was at a party with a lot of famous people and somebody tried to pull this thing and like, I don't care what people think. And he's like, you're name dropping right there. Like ooh, what famous people were you at? Like, oh, aren't you important? they were like, it rang so false to them. And as they were saying it to me, as they were saying it to me, I was like, that was a hard one for me. Because I think Charles has done his research and he really does know some technical stuff about this community building stuff. But he and I, like are not conversationally, we're not tuned up very well right yet. And I don't know if we're going to get there, because the second interview, the one that I did with him, I don't think we can use it. Like I'm going to have to go back and redo it again. It went on for an hour and a half and we never got anywhere.
Oh, really?
Did you get it? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't had a chance to go through it yet. I know that
maybe there's something, maybe there's more there that I think, but like, I'm telling you, he's hard to talk to, because like he'll say something like, that cat is brown. And I'll go, yeah, that's a brown cat. And I go like, well, I didn't say it was a brown cat. Like, it feels like even when I'm trying to repeat back to him what he said to me, he's just like, he doesn't like the way I put it. And so it was just like the conversation just doesn't get in sync very well. And so I still think there's good stuff there, but I just wonder if I just wonder like, how am I going to overcome that chemistry problem? And I don't know if Connie, if you saw it, or if John, you saw it when I was talking to him, that there was like a chemistry issue, but it felt like there was a chemistry issue.
Okay. Yeah, that's something we're going to have to look at then, because I don't know. I mean, the whole idea to do a series with him, and it seems like. I mean, do you think that's an insurmountable thing, or do you think it's something you can get with time?
No, you know what I said to Roman is, I said, I think I need to go into these bonus episode ones, not like review or podcast, but go like, Charles, we've got to get that idea of that chapter out there in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And like put the onus on him, like make him more of the presenter and me more of the color man. But not make it like we're going to do 7 long form podcast interviews, because I just don't think I can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the one I'm most nervous about.
I mean, I just know that
I've committed to doing these 7, follow-up interviews, and I'm just like, I can't do it.
Well, I mean, is it the kind of thing that you could do quickly? I mean, more quickly each one?
Yeah, maybe if I just rolled him through it and then we chopped
roll through the rest of the book.
Maybe that's what I need to do. Yeah. That's a good idea.
I mean, honestly, there's only a certain amount I can do on this one. I can't really be in. I mean, of course, I'm not part of the conversations either. I'm not them or anything like that.
I'm blaming you for the technology. I'm not blaming you for this one. This is my problem. I know it's my problem. I just don't know what to do about it. But I love that idea of saying to him, like, I want to come back. I want to roll through all 7. I want to roll through them fast, because I don't think anybody's going to want to listen to me and Charles Vogel talk for 7 hours. But I think there are a lot of people that want those chapters.
There's a lot of interest in those.
Yeah. All right. That's planned.
So just on that, 2 of our listeners said, Dave said, quote, I don't get that Bart is somewhat apologetic, saying that this may not be for everyone, talking about Charles Vogel.
Yeah.
This is exactly what this group is about, intentionally building a loving community without the woo. Charles Vogel is the perfect guest. This is the perfect content.
Well, then that guy, who is that, Dave?
That was a guy called Dave.
Is Dave on this call?
No, these are comments that I had sort of pulled from our group, from other things.
Yeah, so I think for Dave and for others, I do think that these bonus episodes are going to be great, but I promise you that there are other people that listen to the podcast that they're not community builders. That's not where they're at. They like what I'm doing with community, and they think like that's why I know stuff about like what to do when you break up with your girlfriend. But they're like, I want you to talk about what to do when you break up with your girlfriend, because that's something I'm going through. And thanks, Connie. Do listen to it and let me know what you think. But because Connie actually I think has a good bullshit detector, a good sincerity detector. And so that would be a good thing.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, no, I love like this whole jam session was totally worth it for that suggestion of what to do with Charles Vogel. Okay. So let's move on from Charles Vogel.
Okay, so
we talked about Frank. We talked about Charles.
Yeah, the one right before that, 317, human-centered design with Ramsey and Kate. I have a similar comment to make about Ramsey and Kate as Mike made about Frank Warren, in the sense that I produced this episode as I normally do, and I love design really, but I'm still not sure what my takeaway is for this episode. Aside from the fact that I love it, I think they have a cool job, and to me, it was a good conversation too. I don't know if I have a direct takeaway. And that was my comment. I had sort of written down ahead of this about that episode, because I wonder. Now, do you have a thought on what your takeaway would be from that if you had one?
It's funny. I'm such a in the moment person that I'm like, I never can.
I don't remember.
That was 3 conversations ago. But like, no, you know what? There was something in that one that I did really take away, but it wasn't about design. Oh, you know what it was? There was a moment where Kate was sort of saying, when somebody tells you a problem and you give them advice, it makes them feel like you think they're incompetent. When you go right to advice. And I was like, shit, I do that all day long. Now, of course, people are calling for advice all day long, so it's a little bit more appropriate. But I also offer up a lot of unsolicited. If somebody tells me a problem, I'm like, hey, well, have you thought about this? You should do that. And which is very different than saying, wow, that must be really hard. Or, well, when that happens, what do you do? Or like asking more questions, like probing into the experience of having that problem rather than quickly trying to fix it. And she was really good about saying that, like, you know, she's working with people in cross-cultural settings. And so to me, I may not have emphasized enough, but to me, that was a hugely applicable thing where they're like, look, if you want to help somebody solve a problem, don't jump right to the advice.
That's good.
And so I like to me, that was really powerful. But, you know, and I got a couple of notes from people who said that was a highlight moment for them. And maybe it was a highlight moment for me because, you know, that's an area of huge weakness for me. You know, an area in which I'm such a problem solver that sometimes I'm not a very good empathizer.
So are you saying that old classic advice that men are given talking to the women in their lives? You know, like sometimes men, there's this sort of rapidly tend to be problem solvers instead of like empathizers. It's a similar thing, right?
Yeah, there's some part of it, but what she was saying that was even more interesting to me was she was like, you want to design a solution, like listen a lot longer. Because sometimes your advice is ridiculous. And if you would have listened longer, you would have heard stuff that would have helped you to give more meaningful advice. But she said the other thing is, even if you give the perfect advice out of the gate, like John, let's say you start talking about something and I already know where you're going. And I'm like, oh, listen, you just need to get these windows. These are the windows you need. Like, and I'm right. Even so, you're less likely to actually go buy those windows because you're so pissed that I treated you like you're an idiot. And so if I, so in a sense, like you work against yourself, like you're trying to help this person by offering them advice. But if you offer them the advice too soon in the conversation, they feel like you've put them down and they end up leaving defeated. And I don't think they're as likely to put your advice into practice anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought so there was a moment there for me, but it might not have been, it was a long conversation and you might go like, hey, that's a nice moment, Bart. But like, I need to be a little more practical than that. But that I love talking to those guys, but it's always harder for me when I'm talking to two people than one person.
Yeah, that is harder.
Yeah. So, but that's a good, like, I think the idea of like, I don't always know, like, I think that people could really very honestly say, I don't know where you're going. And the weird thing I'm realizing is that like, when you're interviewing, Roseanne Cash, you don't need to know, like, I don't need to know where you're going because I'm just interested in like whatever Roseanne Cash had for breakfast this morning because she's Roseanne Cash and I know all her songs, or somebody knows all her songs, or like she's talking about her relationship with Bruce Springsteen and like I love Bruce Springsteen. But when you're talking to like Ramsey and Kate, who nobody knows,
Nobody
on this podcast knew who that was. And well, maybe 3 people did. But the conversation has to have more direction because the person's like, I'm not sure if Ramsey and Kate are people I want to listen to for a long time until I know where it's going. And if they're talking about, if the subject is interesting, then I'll stick with the people. Or if the people are interesting, I don't need a subject. But if you have people that nobody knows, you better stink and have a subject. And I think that might be something I need to do, is get out in front of these interviews and either know where I want to take people or ask them where they want to go. Like in the pre-interview, like the pre-interview email, like to figure out like, what are we going to talk about here? Because like, it's not enough to just say we're going to talk about like design,
Mm-hmm.
or we're going to talk about polyamory, or we're going to talk about like where are we trying to take, like in a sense, if I had a little bit of idea where I was going, I might be a better interviewer.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
a good takeaway.
Okay.
Hey, so Connie Senshi, here's my echo too. Since I can't back out of this, can you refresh on your end and maybe that'll reset it?
You want me to refresh on my end? Sure. Happy to do so. Okay, so wait. Oh, I see. Go back to the other one. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, on the Hangouts.
Yeah, you see, I haven't actually been looking at your face moving while we've been doing this. Okay.
So better that way. Okay. 1, 2. I'm assuming there's no echo now, right, guys? And we'll see when Bart comes back, if it comes back or not. Okay. Bart's on his way back.
All right, I'm back.
You're back.
Okay, cool.
And there's no echo.
All right, well, that's a good thing. All right.
It solved our problem.
Okay.
So the one right before that, Bart, and this is the last one we need to talk about, is 315, Sexy But Not an Object with Glenda Jordan. And this one got a good bit of feedback on our group, and it was all pretty like interested. People really found the subject to be interesting, or like people thought it was an important subject, I guess, that we don't talk about enough. Someone said, I especially think the section with the string bikini example was interesting. In particular, how she initially struggled to articulate what behavior would be stepping over the line. I think your example was, a lady in a string bikini walks by. What is the appropriate, if a man a bystanding man is seeing that, what behavior is appropriate? Yeah. And he says we really need to be talking about these issues, especially especially this year.
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
And I felt that was a useful episode too. I thought she was good, and she struck a good balance for me between someone who was a feminist and strong and fairly strident in parts, but also not afraid of her femininity and some softness and some, I don't know. Yes, I guess like it just felt like she was a very balanced person, or someone who had really thought these things through a lot.
Well, she definitely thought them through. What was interesting was what I liked about that one was I really liked her and liked talking to her, but I didn't agree with her on everything. And there were a couple of moments where I pushed back on things she said. And I got notes from people saying like, thanks for pushing back. Like, tension is good.
Oh, I agree.
And and I tend to be Mr. Agreeable on the podcast, not in real life, but for somehow on the podcast, I end up being like, oh yeah, like we're all chums here, and no, it's like a big backslapping club, and I think that I need to be more willing to push back. And that's hard for me because I'm agreeable by nature in a conversation like that.
But Bart, let me push back on that. I think that there have been times where I can recall, if anything, feeling a little bit too much friction between you and a guest, because I felt like, or maybe it was more, maybe it wasn't so much agreeableness or disagreeableness, but maybe it was more like, maybe it gets bogged down in one spot and doesn't get out of it quick enough, because then that's a way I think that maybe you can draw a balance, because you could be like, okay, we're going to disagree on this, but we're not going to stay on it for half an hour.
Yeah, we're not going to be Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson talking about truth.
Yes. Yeah, or Sam Harris and Ezra Klein.
Oh, that was, boy, what a waste of time that podcast was. But yeah, no, but I think that's true. That yeah, I mean, I was thinking about my conversation with Jim Gilliam way back when finally at the end of it, he was like, I think I've answered that question. he just like coldly was, and like and it was warm before that, it was warm after that, but he was just like, dude, I'm done.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Of course, I was basically blaming him for electing Donald Trump. So. Yeah, no, I think that's right. That we need to, and I think that this whole issue of there aren't very many moderate voices in the Me Too moment. Moderate voices get killed. Like Matt Damon was trying to be a moderate voice, and he just got crushed.
That's right.
And but our audience isn't that way. They won't crush me. And I think it's really important to try to sort of draw the fine line and go like, yeah, this is a really important moment, and these things need to be coming to light, and people need to be believed. You know, people need to be taken seriously, or as one of my friends, you know, like we need to take somebody seriously enough to interrogate their allegations and to see what's up with them. But like the idea of just like, we just accept everything at face value, that's unrealistic. And like, there's some ways in which, you know, nobody will let you say that. But like, I think probably we need to do a few more, we just need more women guests, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I just lined one up earlier today.
Did you get that? Did you nail that guest?
Yes. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a really good conversation. And I think you're going to have a really good time with her. It's just a hunch, but I think it's going to be good.
Well, I looked her up after you sent it. What's her name again?
Her name is Dedeker. Her name is Dedeker Winston.
Yeah. I looked her up and I was like, geez, you know, like she's a very,
she knows her stuff.
She knows her stuff. But also like, she's, you know, kind of one of those, you know, life coaches that I wonder how many people go for her for life coaching just because they want to talk to her, because she's beautiful and charming.
It helps to be charming. Yeah.
It helps to be beautiful too. I should know. It's working for me.
You know, I just to wrap up on the Glenda Jordan thing, I just thought it was really important that we were talking to a woman about the attention women get, and not talking to a man about the attention women get, and about feminism, and, you know, like that balance that I sort of perceive in her about feminism not entailing getting rid of your sexuality, or she seemed to just know what she was doing with that in her own life, and I think that it ended up being applicable.
Yeah, no, I thought that was valuable too. I mean, in general, I think we're doing okay.
I think so too. Someone called Dinah wrote on that episode notes, great talk. My question is, how does this conversation transfer to porn and the industry and use of it? And I just replied that we were going to be planning an episode on that topic at some point, because we actually had it on our Trello.
Yeah, you know, I know just who I want to get. I don't know if we'll be able to get him, but I read this book called His Porn, Her Pain, which is all about the way in which porn sort of operates within couples' relationships, and I just think it would be really great to have it. So that's a good one. We'll write that down. Okay, that's great. All right, listen.
Yes,
I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Mike's going to come back from Harry Potter, and we will not be here. But that does not mean we don't love you, Mike. It just means that you read an especially long chapter. And Connie, thank you so much for hanging in there. And the story thing is happening. It will happen soon. We got a story episode coming up soon. And John, yeah, I think this worked better than last time.
I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, enjoy your sleep.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
We'll talk to you soon.